For 27 years, I've been talking about how hard it is to be Iranian in America because Iran is always involved in something.
If October the 7th was like 9/11, well, then Iran is like Iraq.
When you dehumanize people, then it becomes easier to go and bomb them.
Donald Trump tore up the last deal. The guy who wrote The Art of the Deal tore up the deal that had kept the Iranian nuclear program under control.
We all agree we want to free Iran. But then the question becomes, how do we get there?
The claim was, it's only the quote-unquote illegals that they're going after. Then it was like, oh, it's the student visas. Then it's like Mahmoud Khalil. Shit, they're going after green card holders.
If the immigrants left Los Angeles, your food would suck. Just be hamburgers and hot dogs all day long.
I can deal with the white MAGA voters better than I can deal with people in quote-unquote our communities who are Trump supporters.
Being Iranian-American is American. I feel like I appreciate America more than MAGA appreciates America.
I speak to my mother every day or every other day, and she says, can you not talk about Trump? And I'm like, it's what I do for a living, Mom. I can't really not talk about Trump.
I have friends of mine that are Arabs and Indians and Pakistanis. They go, I used to get beaten up because of your hostage crisis. And I go, I know. Unfortunately, racists are not very nuanced.
I'm Mehdi Hassan.
And I am Maz Jobrani.
And we're not kidding. Welcome to another Zeteo podcast. It's the podcast where I get to talk to funny people about serious things, but also I hope funny things. Maz, it's been a long time. Good to see you.
Mehdi, it's been a long time. I've been watching you. You've been killing it. I'm a fan. I love watching you take people down. That's what I like a lot of times. Because I'll tell you, it's funny because it's like having like a friend that's good at like basketball or something. You're like, oh, and then we show up at the pickup game and you're like, oh, go show them what you can do. So I love watching you do that, man.
It's such a good analogy because I'm crap at all sports and games. So this is the one thing I can do in life, and I managed to turn it into a career option. So I'm glad. Appreciate the appreciation. For those of you who don't know, and crazy if you don't know, Maz Jobrani is an award-winning comedian, actor, writer, author of the best-selling book, I'm Not a Terrorist, but I've played one on TV. Maz, which terrorist did you play on TV?
Oh, Mehdi, which terrorist did I not play on TV? No, that was based on early on in my career. I got a role in a Chuck Norris movie of the week.
Oh.
Yes. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but I die in the movie. I die in it. Yeah.
Was it one of the Delta Force movies?
It wasn't. You know what it was? It was called The President's Man: A Line in the Sand, and it was really cheesy.
Middle East.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a CBS movie of the week. And at the time I had a day job. And so I thought to myself, look, if I take this gig, maybe it'll help me go to my next gig and I can get out of this day job. And in all honesty, so the role was an Afghan physicist who's working for like an Osama bin Laden type, who's come to Chicago, and me and the Osama bin Laden type's son are going to blow up a building in Chicago. And as an actor, I go, okay, you know what? I'm going to humanize this character. I'm going to show why this character is doing what he's doing. And I swear to God, Mehdi, it was so delusional because it's like as actors, you write your biography of like what the character happened to the character to bring him here. And in my mind, I go, okay, he's doing this because of the Russian involvement in Afghanistan, which has nothing to do with America. And also, he hates America because they killed his parents. I had some weird convoluted thing.
Didn't make it into the film, I'm guessing.
Did not. None of that made it film. So, but what was funny was I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to show why this guy's doing what he's doing. I go to the wardrobe fitting, and they go, okay, now this is a Afghan terrorist in Chicago who's going to blow up a building, and he's trying to lay low. So they go, here's your shirt, here's your pants, here's your turban. And I go, excuse me? And they go, yeah. That's your turban. I go, no. I go, listen, I've done the research. My character would not wear a turban. He's trying to lay low in Chicago. He's not going to wear, and Afghans don't wear turbans, especially not, if you're Sikh, yeah, but not. And the lady was like, all right, you know what? I'll talk to the producers. I'll let you know what's going to happen. So I show up the next day, go to my dressing room. There's my shirt, there's my pants, and there's a scarf. And I go, okay, I'll be the scarf wearing terrorist. And she goes, no, man, that's the turban. You got to roll it back up. So I rolled it up. It was horrible, Mehdi.
Liking this video? Then don't just watch. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And tap the bell so you never miss a video or live show. But if you want early access to exclusive content, then you have to head to zeteo.com and subscribe now. You'll be supporting fearless, independent journalism. the things that actors have to do to get by in Hollywood. I know you're in LA. I should point out to people watching, Maz, we're going to talk about this later in our conversation. You are Iranian-American. You are of Iranian heritage. You are not Afghan. But of course, in the eyes of Hollywood, you could be Afghan or Arab or Iranian or Pakistani. It's all interchangeable.
Yeah, I played them all. I played Mexican. I played them all, man. You name it, I've done it.
You probably don't want to play right now in LA a Mexican because people are going to ICE are just going to pick you up on the street.
I was on a show with Melissa Villaseñor. I don't know if you know who she is. She was on Saturday Night Live. Very talented and does impressions. She's great. And I went up afterwards because she's Mexican. And I went up after. I go, she's Mexican. I'm Iranian. I go, we're starting our own tour called the Deported Tour. And I go, we do it at the Home Depot. You guys just show up and we all just get deported. It's fantastic. But it's dark, but it's like, it's real. Like I know people that work in Los Angeles in landscaping, in roofing and all that stuff, and they're afraid to go out. And I don't know what their status is. I'm not like asking them. I don't need to know, but it's scary, man.
I was in LA recently. We did a Zateo live event in LA, and driving around, a friend of mine was pointing out streets that are now just empty, just ghost streets, because people don't want to come to work. They're scared about ICE. There are car washes with no one in them. You can't wash your cars, no one there. It's just literally parts of the streets are just look like a ghost town. And that's scary. I mean, this is during the National Guard period, all of that.
It's scary and it's stupid because, like, first of all, these people haven't even thought about like the effect it's got on our economy. You know, like wait till they start feeling it in the pockets. And I was saying, Americans, we're so lazy that we're arresting the only people that are working. We're like, how dare you work? We're going to arrest you and deport you.
The painful part is that the MAGA voters who voted for this, some of them are like, well, we didn't vote for this. We voted for criminals being taken out. And they're not going after criminals. The stats are very clear. Half of the people they're rounding up, at least, if not more, have no criminal records whatsoever. In LA recently, I thought of you, and I thought of this conversation we're about to have when I saw this story the other day. There was a 64-year-old Iranian woman, a grandmother, Mandana Kashanian, who had lived in the US, has been living here for 47 years. She came during the revolution or just before the revolution with her parents. She stayed at the time because she was worried about her father's ties to the Shah who had been deposed. They stayed here at the time. For whatever reason, she never got documented, but she's lived here for 47 years. They took her, this 64-year-old grandmother, while she was gardening outside her home in New Orleans. That's
unbelievable. First of all, a few things. We both know they've set this quota, right? So the Stephen Miller quota, 3,000 a day. Anytime you set a quota, it's a bad thing. It's like if I'm a parent and I tell my kids, I'm gonna ground you 5 times a day. I have to. Now I'm going around looking for things to ground them for, even when they're not doing anything. And the other thing that's crazy, and it's just, again, it's inhumane, but also that blows my mind is there are immigrants. You and I know this. There are immigrants who voted for him, and they'll say things like, well, if they want to come, they're going to come legally. I came legally. And 99% of the time, I want to go, first of all, if you were lucky and privileged enough to be able to get everything, all your ducks in a row and come here legally, congratulations. But most of you came on student visas, overstayed your student visa because war broke out over there, and now you're here, and now you're saying, no, let's close the door. So that, to me, is like the worst, when other immigrants start saying 100%. All this legally. I go, because to your point, originally in the election, he said, there's 20 million violent criminals. You know, you're like, there's not 20 million immigrant violent criminals. It's just not.
I'm with you. I can't stand the immigrants who support Trump. Sorry, I'm just going to say, like, I can deal with the white MAGA voters better than I can deal with people in quote unquote our communities who are Trump supporters and say what you just said. Like, my biggest arguments have been with Muslim supporters of Donald Trump who'll be like, well, you got to do it the right way, not come over the border like these South Americans. And you're like, that is the drawbridge mentality in action. I'm here, pull up the bridge, no one else.
Absolutely. And the other thing I tell them is I go, political asylum is the legal way. I think the issue that we have right now, Mehdi, is not that they're coming illegally or they're coming legally. It's that we haven't updated our immigration system in years because Congress has not had the balls to do anything. And the closest we came was that deal that they had under the Biden administration that was not a very liberal deal. Nope. And so that's the thing, because ultimately our economy needs it. And by the way, This was their land before we came and took their land. Like, I mean, you go around Los Angeles, I swear to God, that day of the No Kings protest, I did a show in West Covina, which is like highly Latino. I went there to do the show. Outside the club, there was cars like just going up and down the boulevard, all Mexican, all Mexican, all Mexican. Earlier in the day, I was at another protest, all immigrant, all immigrant. And I go, if the immigrants left Los Angeles, first of all, there'd be very few people left. Secondly, your food would suck. You would not have any, just be hamburgers and hot dogs all day long.
And by the way, hamburgers also came to the United States from European immigrants. Like, that's not American either. As is apple pie. Apple pie also came to the US. Like, it's as American as apple pie. Well, apple pie is a European import. Everything is immigrant, whether you like it or not. Let me ask you this. You are, like me, a naturalized American, right? You came as a child, as an immigrant. I came as an adult. We're both naturalized citizens. What do you make of the story that NPR ran last week? The DOJ is doubling down on its approach to stripping citizenship from American citizens. The denaturalization commissions, they want to really go after anybody they claim, not just who's committed a criminal offense, but if they think that you lied or misrepresented yourself on your citizenship application, and as you said earlier, once they set a target for that, they're going to be looking for anything that they can use to justify it. And there was a time when you thought, well, it's the claim was it's only the quote unquote illegals that they're going after. Then it was like, oh, it's the student visas. Then it's like Mahmoud Khalil. Shit, they're going after green card holders. And I said in January, it's naturalized citizens next. And here we are in the summer, naturalized citizens, you and me, Maz.
Absolutely. I've said this too. They've moved the goalpost from the beginning. And because listen, I think that MAGA world does not listen to statistics. They kept saying the immigrant criminals. And we both know that per capita, immigrants commit fewer crimes than citizens. And then they kept going, like you said, kept moving the goalposts. And I knew it was coming towards us, naturalized citizens. And absolutely, as you know, there's a chilling effect. They want it to be a chilling effect so that people like you and myself and anybody else doesn't even criticize the government or any of their policies, which, Mehdi, goes all the way back to when I first started touring with my stand-up comedy. I would go to the Middle East, and they would say, you can talk about whatever you want, but no sex, no religion, no politics. And I'd be like, well, then hello and goodbye, or like salam alaikum and alaikum salam. But it was a situation where they said, don't talk politics, meaning don't talk about our leader or anything our leader does in the given country. And I always would come back and commend America and go, America's a country where the late night talk show hosts, comedians, everyone were encouraged to make fun of the president. But then when Trump came in and then Trump won, he didn't want to go to the correspondence dinner. I go, this is getting closer and closer to one of those other dictatorships that I'm used to performing under. And now 8 years later, we're seeing that it's even worse, to your point. And so absolutely. I mean, I have people that are close to me that are hitting me up and going like, please just stop talking about it. Don't talk about them. Don't say anything about them, because they're worried.
I speak to my mother every day or every other day, and she says, can you not talk about Trump? And I'm like, it's what I do for a living, Mom. I can't really not talk about Trump. My mother is sitting there in the UK going to me, what are you doing? Shut up about Trump. Stop talking about Trump.
Well, my question becomes too, by the way, if they were to go to that route of like really going after all these naturalized citizens, do we get a choice of where to go, or do we have to go to El Salvador? Because I can't go to El Salvador and I can't go to Iran, because I've talked a lot of crap about Iran too. So
what's your plan B? Every brown person I know has a plan B. What is your plan B? Where are you going, Maz? Tell the world.
I'm thinking if they give me a ticket to like Portugal or Italy, I'm all right. I could live there for a while.
Italy's going pretty fash too right now, Maz.
Yeah, I know. Nobody wants us, man.
I'm thinking more New Zealand.
Ooh, yes, New Zealand. Well,
for a brown Muslim guy, all the food is halal. Amazingly,
Yeah.
It's super quiet. It's beautiful. I've been there. The mountains stunning, and if there's another pandemic, you won't die there.
But also, they're very tight on letting people in. Like you just pick like the best club. Like there's nightclubs. You just pick like the nicest nightclub to get into. So good luck to you, pal.
Good luck to me. Well, let me talk about your background, because you are a naturalized citizen. You mentioned Iran. You came here, I think, how old were you? 6 years old?
6 years old, late 1978.
1978. You were born in 72. You came 6 years old in 78. The Iranian Revolution is in 79. So what happens? Your family says we're not going back, or what? How did the Jobrani clan end up in California?
So my father was a successful businessman back in Iran, and he had a lot of friends in high places. And I always describe my father, the best character I used to describe, fictional character to describe my father, he was like Vito Corleone from The Godfather.
Okay.
People needed something done, they'd go to my dad, my dad would take care of it. And I would hear all these stories as a kid, and it wasn't until later when he'd passed away and friends and others I'd run into were like, your father helped me when I really needed, some money to buy a place. Your father helped me get out of the country when I had to get out of there. Your father did. So there's a lot of that. And so very generous and but also very successful, comes to America. He was in America in late 78 doing business with, I think, Bechtel, one of these multinational companies.
Yes.
And that's when the protests were getting worse and worse, and threats against people who were successful under the Shah were starting to pick up. And my father was not, associated with the Shah, but he had friends that were in the military, generals in the military, admirals. He had like the police chief. He knew everybody. So he calls my mom, and I'm back in Iran with my older sister, my baby brother, and he says, "Listen, these protests are getting bad, and they're coming after people, and I'm not safe if I come back. So I'm not coming back. You guys need to come here." And my mom said I was shocked, and I said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's the case." So we lived in this property that had two homes. We lived up here. My dad's mother, my grandmother, my dad's mom lived down below. And the relationship between my father and his mother were super close because he was the oldest son. And so he almost played like a father figure to the other kids, and they were just super close. So my mom told me the story recently. She said, "I went down to the house below and I told your grandmother, hey, your son's not coming back. Khosrow's not coming back." And he goes, "Your grandmother started bawling." And then I realized, oh my God, what have I done? So she said she quickly fixed it and said, "No, he's not coming back for a few months. He'll be back in a few months." Grandma calms down. Everything's cool. But the sad thing is, so my mom brought me and my sister at the time to go be with my dad. And my dad never got to see his mother again because the revolution started, the war started. And then she passed away while we were in America and we couldn't go back. So that's how we came.
And you come in 78. You're a 6-year-old kid in where? San Francisco? Where'd you come in California?
First, we went to New York. I always say, Mehdi, because originally when we came, my mom brought me and my sister and we left my baby brother back home because we thought things would quiet down eventually and we'd come back. And I always say we packed for 2 weeks and we stayed for 47 years, right?
You're basically Stephen Miller's ideal person.
Exactly. I'm his guy. So, we first started in New York for a minute where we wanted to settle down. But it ended up being the coldest winter in New York in a long time. And my mom said, "Oh, hell no, I'm not having any of this." So we ended up, like you said, through, the way you do, like through some friends that lived in Marin County, Northern California. We ended up over there, and I grew up most of my life in Marin County.
So what is it like? What I'm wondering, especially in the current climate where we're talking about the resurgence in old school racism, racist bullying, the president of the United States downwards, down to the school level, where you're seeing a lot of brown and black kids being bullied, immigrant children. What is it like for a young 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old Maz Jobrani going to school at the time of the revolution, the hostage crisis, Iran, or Iran, as it was known back in the day and still is in some right-wing circles, is villain number one in United States media and popular culture?
Yeah, Mehdi, I've been doing stand-up for 27 years. For 27 years, I've been talking about how hard it is to be Iranian in America because Iran is always involved in something. And from the moment we landed, like you just said, hostage crisis. And I'm a 6-year-old or 7-year-old at the time, going to school during the hostage crisis. And back then, like when I was in the 4th grade, there was a 6th grader, and what they would do is they would call you fucking Iranian. That was the thing. And there was a 6th grader who called me fucking Iranian, and I remember I couldn't do anything because he was bigger than me, and I was like, ah. And there was this black kid actually who was in the 5th grade who kind of took me under his wing. He's like, "Let me talk to you for a second, man." He's like, "I've been dealing with this shit for 200 years. This is what you got to do, man. You gotta either just have a good comeback or go get a therapist." Like I was like, "All right, man, it's all good." So
welcome to America.
Yeah, welcome to America. It was hard, man. And it was, and by the way, kids are embarrassed of their parents regardless. Kids just want to blend in. But kids of immigrants are super embarrassed because we're at school speaking proper English with no accent and finally thinking that even though my name is Maziar, I've somehow managed to blend in. And then here come your parents. And by the way, again, my father successful, had brought money with him, which he ended up losing in later in bad real estate deals. But here come your parents in my father's Rolls Royce, with my mother, with my brothers, with my grandmother, immigrant style, 90 people in the car, pulling up, Maziar, let's go. I'm like, I'm like, I don't know these people, man. I don't know who they are. Just stay home. Why are you coming out? So it was mortifying. It was hard. And that's the thing is, like you said, that's why I'm such an empath for kids who are going through this in schools, for people that are trying to immigrate to this country. I'm 100% supportive of all of these people.
I want to play a clip from your stand-up where you talk about the feeling that brown people have to prove themselves, that they have a right to be here, that they're good to be here. Let's play that clip.
Our people feel like we got to explain. There's a lot of tension. So he's like, I was born in Kuwait, but I've been here since 15. I swear to God. I own 2 American flags. I swear to God, I'm not kidding. I love America, number one. I swear to God. I'm going to buy some guns. I will buy guns. I will own the flags, guns, whatever you want. I eat McDonald's 5 times a week, McDonald's. 5 times a week, I eat McDonald's. Whatever you want, I can do for you. Make Kurdistan great again. MAGA.
When you've lived in the US now almost 50 years, when did you feel you had to most prove yourself as an American in that time?
Mehdi, it's been like ongoing, right? So obviously as a kid, again, you wanted to blend in, and you just want to be, I was American. I played baseball. Like, I mean, I collected baseball cards. I knew, I followed all the sport. I was a Dallas Cowboys fan. Like, I felt American. But again, it would always be the clash of like when your friends would come to your house and suddenly there's exotic food smells. And suddenly, again, like I said, grandparents and cousins and uncles coming out of different rooms, and like the American kids' eyes are just wide, like, what is going on here? And you're like, we are the immigrants. It's like, I mean, so that was then. Then you go to college, and there's like, again, a lot of my kids, the kids that I grew up with in Northern California were not Iranian. They were American, like white American. And then I go to college and I meet a bunch of Iranian Americans who'd had the same experience as me. So now we're hanging out together. And there was times where I remember some of those guys would, like, when it came to like, we're in college, so we're trying to meet girls. And my friend Shahrukh, and this is totally true, we'd be like talking to some girls, and then they'd be like, what's your names? And I'd be like, I'm Maz. And then he'd be like, I'm Tony. And I was like, Tony? And they all became Tony. Like all my friends became Tony because they didn't want to say they're Iranian because of the movie Not Without My Daughter. So I remember one time I was at a club and I was talking to some girl, and it was going pretty well. And she goes, so where are you from? I go, Iran. I'm not kidding. She turned around and walked away. I was like, what did I do? Like, that's how bad. So to your question, it's been an ongoing thing. And it wasn't until probably I started doing stand-up, because also, by the way, once I started doing stand-up is when I became comfortable with who I am, because I'm sure, and I wanted to talk to you about this. Were your parents happy that you went into media, or what was their?
No.
No.
Actually, my dad has always been very supportive. My mother still wishes I could do something else, be an accountant or a lawyer. She's like, you argue, you could be a lawyer. She's the one who's always worried about me, doesn't like me sticking my head above the parapet. So no, both my sister and I are journalists, so great disappointments to our brown dissy parents who wanted doctor children. My mother's a doctor, so it can't get more cliched than that. In fact, I always say this to people. I said this to Bassem and other comedians who come on this show. We were going to name this show We Should Have Been Doctors. That was the theme my team and I had. And I don't know if you fit into that mold. I mean, you did political science, I believe.
Yeah.
But your parents, I'm sure, wanted you to not be a comedian.
Well, like you, my mom wanted me to be a lawyer. And when I said I want to be a comedian, I'm not kidding. She goes, just become a comedian and you can tell jokes in court. And I was like, Mom, I don't think that's how that works. I swear to God, they were so apprehensive about all this because they didn't know. And listen, I don't blame them for it, because there was nobody in the West doing what we're now doing when we first started that you could go, well, look, so-and-so did it, I can do it, right? The closest I had was the Iron Sheik, and I wasn't going to be a wrestler. So yeah, like once I decided in my mid-20s I'm going to do this, and I disappointed my mom and I disappointed my whole family. At that point, I think I started embracing this diversity more and more, and realizing that being Iranian-American is American, being South Asian American is American. Like that's what America is. And so I don't necessarily feel like I have to prove my Americanness, because I feel like I appreciate America more than MAGA appreciates America, because I come from a country, Iran, that's an authoritarian country, and I kiss the ground every day going, I don't have to suffer under the Islamic regime the way a lot of Iranians are in Iran. And now here I am seeing it happen in America with Latinos and other immigrants, and I'm saying, wow, this is really mind-blowing. So I feel like we appreciate America and being American more than most natural born citizens.
100%. And I think A, all the polls and surveys show that. B, the MAGA folks do want a foreign authoritarian model for the US. They don't actually want the US constitutional model at all. You mentioned the family. To be fair to my family, Maz, they have come around. I think they would say they are very proud and happy with what I do now. How's your family dealing with comedy 20, 30 years later?
They've come around as well. My mom, I think for my mom, it started hitting when like she would go to some events and some Persian person would come up. And then once they found out that she's my mom, they'd be like, oh, I love, he's great. I love him. So my mom would come and say, I was at a party and, Fatima came up and said she really liked that joke you did. I go, thanks, Mom. And then it went full circle, Mehdi, where I swear to God, one time she's like, I was at the airport, started talking to this couple, Persian couple, and they said they're fans of yours, but they said you need to write new material. I was like,
oh my God,
Mom,
you're getting full feedback.
I mean, come on, man.
You're just like, maybe she'll start heckling you at events to go real authentic.
That would probably be right around the corner.
To an event and heckle. By the way, you mentioned earlier that when you went for these, you went for this movie, the CBS movie, they wanted you to wear a turban. I've also seen you talk about how when you started doing stand-up at the Comedy Store in LA, the club owner wanted you to dress up as a mullah in a turban and a dishdasha. A, did you do that? And B, big question, has representation for brown people, Muslims, Arabs, Iranians in the US, in comedy, in media, do you think it's improved since the Chuck Norris days? Or have we taken, I don't know, one step forward, two steps back?
Well, first of all, let me answer your second question first. I think that we've come a long way from when I first started doing this. When I first started doing this, you would do like, it was the audition was for a Pakistani or for an Indian or for an Iranian or for an Arab. And you would go in the room and it was the same 10 or 15 guys from different parts of the Middle East and East Asia and stuff. We all knew each other. And you'd be like, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. And then the casting director, all right, you're next, Ahmed. And then go in and you'd hear in the room, they're like, I will kill you in the name of Allah. And then he would come out and you'd be like, how'd it go, bro? It went great, bro. Let's go get some Starbucks. It was that kind of shit. But now we've come to the point where we got Mo Amr, we got Ramy Youssef, we got Hassan Minhaj, we got Mindy Kaling, brown representation. I mean, I am so excited when I see things like that, even my friend Nassim Pedra did her show Chad. Just when you see things that humanize, because you and I both know that's the biggest problem. Did you ever see or read Jack Shaheen's Real Bad Arabs?
Yes. Brilliant
man.
Brilliant book and film. Yes.
It's such a beautiful guy, man. And he just depicted how when you dehumanize people, then it becomes easier to go and bomb them. His
study, I think it was about 1,000 films. He goes back to the 1970s. So people who say, "Oh, this is about 9/11. What do you expect? You bombed." No, this way predated 9/11. 9/11 put it on steroids for sure. But the demonization of the Middle East, you go back to Edward Said and his book on Orientalism in the start of the early 80s. You go back to Jack Shaheen, as you mentioned. This has been going along for a long time. I think the fall of the Berlin Wall, the end of the Cold War, they needed a new villain in Hollywood, Arab. I always point out, do you remember True Lies?
Yeah.
Art Malik. I think it was called Crimson Jihad. I was a big Arnie fan. I'm still a big action movie guy. And I remember watching True Lies, and I was so disappointed at that's the villain. Remember the camcorder works, like these incompetent Arab terrorists. This is way before 9/11.
Absolutely. And it's funny because like you just said, I was a fan, I've become a fan actually of Alfred Molina's, who's an amazing, brilliant actor. And I actually took an acting class with him, but he played that crazy guy in Not Without My Daughter, the Mahmoud character. And again, as someone from that background, I'm like, oh, no, not Alfred. I love Alfred. Why are you getting somebody I don't like? Get James Woods to do the part. It's like, please.
Because you mentioned going into casting rooms with people you got to know, and you said Ahmed comes out. You did the Axis of Evil comedy tour with Ahmed and my good friend Dean Ubaidullah and others over the years, all over the place. And I remember that, 20 years ago after 9/11. And actually, Ahmed, he was in Executive Decision, if I remember correctly, as a terrorist, number 3 or something, right?
Yeah.
In that film with Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal, terrorist hostage plane movie, of course. What was it like doing that tour at that time? Because again, for a lot of our younger viewers who are seeing the reaction to October the 7th, the post 9/11 era was a very tricky era to be doing comedy about terrorism.
Yeah, so it was me, Ahmed, Aaron Cater, originally Sam Tripoli, who was Armenian, and the lady who had wanted me to wear the turban, Mitzi Shore, who owned the Comedy Store. She was the mastermind of it all. Okay, so Mitzi, by the way, was just like this Yoda guru type, and she would make people a regular at the Comedy Store, which is the mecca of comedy. And sometimes she'd give you advice. So like when Mark Maron became a regular, I've heard Mark talk about this, she said to him, you're a thinking comedian, you should wear a scarf. So like she would come up with things like that. So with me, when she made me a regular, she's like, "You're very funny." I go, "Thank you, Mitzi." And that's how she talks. She goes, "You're very funny." I go, "Thank you, Mitzi." She goes, "I'm going to make you a regular." I go, "Thank you, Mitzi." She goes, "Have you ever thought about wearing the outfit?" I go, "What outfit?" She goes, "The hat and the gown." I go, "The hat and the gown?" She goes, "Yeah, the hat and the gown." And she's making a circle with the hat. I'm like, "Oh no, turban." And of course, I'm sitting there with being made in the mafia, it's like that's how it felt, because you perform on stage, you got to walk past her and she grabs your arm and just tells you right there. And so, of course, when she goes, "Have you thought about wearing the outfit?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, the outfit sounds great." And I walk down the stairs and I'm like, "Oh my God, what did I just agree to do? I can't, this is going to ruin my career." And it was a negotiation, Mehdi, on how I got out of it. Was it took 2 weeks, and I found the story of this guy who's this Iranian, I don't know what his background is, but he was an Iranian guy who I guess was making fun of the mullahs in America on Persian television. And so he was at some rally in Westwood or something, and some supporters of the regime showed up and they threw rocks at him, hit him in the eye, blinded him. So I called the club and I go, "Guys, I just found a story of a guy who was wearing the turban, and the supporters of the regime showed up and they threw a rock and they blinded him." So I go, "If I wear a turban and word gets out, they may come after me. Worse yet, they may come after the club." And I swear to God, the booker was like, "Let me call you back." She hangs up, talks to Mitzi, the owner, calls me back. She's like, "Just wear something comfortable. You'll be fine." I was like, I got out of it, man. But Mitzi put us together and called the show. She put us together and called it the Arabian Nights. And her goal, in all honesty, was a very noble goal, because she was Jewish, but she'd been watching I think it was in 2000 or so, the intifada that was happening between the Palestinians and the Israelis. And she goes, "I think there's going to be a need for a positive voice for Muslims in the near future. And I think comedy can be that healing force." So she put us together, Arabian Nights. We're performing. And to your point, September 11th happens. All of a sudden, our careers on steroids. We start getting called from the New York Times, from NPR, from Playboy, Hustler. Every outlet was doing articles on us. And at one point, we were doing a show in La Jolla, California, which is where the La Jolla Comedy Store is. And it was 6 months or so, maybe 9 months after 9/11. And they put on the marquee, they put Arabian Nights. And we get a call from the manager at the club, and he goes, "Hey guys, I just got somebody called here, and they just gave you guys a death threat. They said, why are you putting these Arabs up, during this 9/11, whatever this rah time?" And he goes, "If you guys want to cancel the show tonight, I totally understand." And we were like, "No, I think first of all, we think it's an empty threat, but secondly, if somebody kills us on stage, that's probably a good way to go." It's it was kind of it was dark,
Immortalized.
Yeah,
Immortalized.
As long as one of the other guys is on, not me. So that was that, and then it became the Axis of Evil comedy tour, and we toured all over the world.
You're really rubbing it in right-wing faces of let's call ourselves Arabian Nights and then Axis of Evil. For the people who are humorless, it's not very helpful. I mean, look, I got to ask, the Persian elephant in the room. Let's talk about Iran right now and where we are with Iran, because obviously, post-October the 7th, I've had a lot of conversations on this show with people, as you've mentioned, Hassan Minhaj and Bassem Youssef and others, about what it feels like to be in the US post-October 7th versus post-9/11. But now we could take that to the next level. If October the 7th was like 9/11, well, then Iran is like Iraq, right? If we're going to do historical analogies. I feel like now we're in a post-03 moment where Saddam Hussein, Iraq, the big villains all over the media. But as you say, Iran is a much bigger villain. It's been around for a much longer time. It's been 40 years, 50 years, consistent anti-Iran demonizing. And that's not to do with the regime or the government. It's not about what you think about the government. As you say, it's about you being in a club and saying to a girl, I'm from Iran, and then walking away. It is about the entire country being seen as this kind of black hole of evil, terrorism, dishonesty, all the kind of racist tropes. So I do wonder, what were you thinking that Saturday evening in wherever you were, LA or wherever you were, when you got the news that Trump has bombed Iran?
Well, I was, let me take you back to Thursday when Israel bombed Iran. So
Yes.
I was in Los Angeles. I was doing a show in Hermosa Beach. It's about a 45-minute drive down into this like very white like beach town, right? And at that day there was the protests, the ICE protests were happening in LA. And of course, the way the news covered it, if you weren't in Los Angeles, you would think all of LA is burning.
Yes.
So I got a call from some lady who'd bought tickets to come to the show. She goes, I live in San Diego. I bought tickets to come to your show in Hermosa tonight, but I'm worried to come because of the protests. And I was like, lady, the protests are in a 2-block radius in downtown LA. Hermosa Beach is somewhere completely different. I go, the one place you're gonna be safe is Hermosa Beach. Anyway, she didn't want to come. I'm driving. I leave my house, 45-minute drive from LA to Hermosa Beach. And as I'm driving down, I'm going, wow, people really think that LA's burning. I need to do a video for my Instagram page, kind of explaining and making fun of it and all that stuff. Kind of like my Jon Stewart version, Daily Show version of coverage of this. 45 minutes. As I'm pulling up to the comedy club, my radio's on. They go, Israel just bombed Iran. I go, what? I go, what just happened? Like they were supposed to do the negotiations the next day. How did this happen? And I had to go on stage that night. And in my audience, obviously, there's a lot of Iranians, there's a lot of Arabs, there's a lot of Indians. It's a very kind of mixed audience. And I went on stage. And the first thing I said, I go, guys, I left LA, there was no war. World War III broke out by the time I got here. I go, I'm the only comedian that has to check the news before every time I go on stage in case some other shit just broke down, right? And or went down. And I'll be honest with you, it was a cathartic night of just comedy, and laughter.
We've actually got a clip of you talking about Iran on stage. Let's have a play.
You guys probably have heard of Iran. We're known for a little thing called World War III.
Yes. Yeah, I know, it's fucking happening. I know. Yeah. I'm Iranian-American. Yeah, that's like a lot of shit, like part of me likes me, part of me hates me, Part of me thinks I should have a nuclear program. The other part thinks I can't be trusted with one. Iran, even if it has nothing to do with Iran ends up in the news. Like, I think Iran has the same publicist as the Kardashians. I swear they know how to get in. Like, remember when that guy tried to shoot Trump? The next day, Iran was in the news. The next day, Iran was like, we wanted to shoot him too. Like, what the fuck? Shut up!
It's so funny what you said about the getting in the news. I was just interviewing a former government official from Iran, a former Iranian ambassador, Sayyid Hussein Mousavian, who's at Princeton. And I said to him, I was like, as sympathetic as a lot of people are on the left to the illegal and unconstitutional bombing of Iran, it doesn't help when you go around just shouting death to America, we're going to kill your... I think they put out a fatwa recently saying kill Trump and Netanyahu and Ayatollah. It's like, you're not the best at PR in the part of the world where you could get some sympathy if you wanted to.
Absolutely. And that's the problem is, Mehdi, is the people have gotten caught in the middle, right? Iranians around the world, or whether it's your Syrian at the time or the Iraqis, the people get caught. And to your point, when that fervor starts and the anti-pick your country fervor starts, then everybody starts suffering. After 9/11, they were shooting Indian Sikhs, right?
Yep.
During the hostage crisis, I have friends of mine that are Arabs and Indians and Pakistanis. They go, I used to get beaten up because of your hostage crisis. And I go, I know. Unfortunately, racists are not very nuanced. They just go after anybody that's brown. And so, like you said, you asked me what it felt like when Trump had bombed those facilities. Once again, it was like, oh my God, this is going to escalate fast and bad. And what's interesting is, listen, there are some people in the diaspora and even inside Iran who are so sick and tired of living under an authoritarian regime that some were saying, oh, this is our chance for freedom. Like they were saying, oh, if they bomb them enough, the mullahs will go and Iran will be free again. But the problem becomes there's no surgical way of doing something like that. And also when you have external interference, if anything, it makes it harder for anybody on the inside who wants to oppose this government to do what they wanted to do. So
I was interested to see the Nobel Peace Laureate Narges Mohammadi from Iran come out and say, no, this is not the right thing to do.
it's not, listen, and that's the point. The point is that it's like, the people want to turn a close eye to the collateral damage. And you go, this is bad. Like, and I was doing the statistics for some people that I know. I go, look, if you look at Gaza right now, a population, I think of it was like 2 million, and they've killed whatever, 50, 60, 70,000. I go, percentage wise, Iran is a country of 90 million. So you need to multiply those deaths by 45 to get to what you're trying to do. And so, the thing I did, I put a statement out for just on my Instagram page, because obviously that's the other thing, Mehdi. And I don't know, I mean, you're always on top of it because your news is your thing. But as a comedian who happens to be Iranian-American, things will happen in the world, and I go, oh my God, I got to make a statement. Like, who am I to make a statement? But if I don't, I get people coming into my inbox going, why aren't you saying anything? I'm like, I'll say something. And really what I said was just like, I pray for peace. And even that got some pushback of people like, how dare you pray for peace? Like, this is our chance for freedom. And I'm like, I want freedom.
Just for people watching who are not aware, and I am aware because I know a lot of Iranian Americans, the Iranian American community is a fascinating place. A lot of different factions, a lot of different views, not a monolith at all. You're in Tehran, the capital of Iran, outside of Iran. People take different views. As you say, even if there's people who support the regime, there's people who are anti the government. There are people who are anti the government but don't want US and Israeli intervention. There are people who do want US Israeli intervention. I am in DC. I don't live too far away from the son of the former crown prince, the crown prince, son of the former Shah. Who wants to go back and run the show, maybe. He's doing the rounds. He's been in the UK, meeting with UK politicians. He's regular on Fox. I think he's been met with Israelis. What do you make of him?
I've actually met him before, and he's actually a good and smart guy. And when I listen to what he says, he goes, I want to be like helping begin a democratic process of some sort. But on the outside, when I look at it, I just go, gosh, I don't know how clean this is. Like, I don't see how that it all works. That's the problem. Because to your point, I firmly believe, like, I want the people to somehow make that change happen. Now, it seems hopeless.
Color me skeptical of the son of one of the most vicious dictators of the 20th century saying, I want a democratic process. Color me a little skeptical.
Listen, again, I like I said, I don't pretend to know like what the solution is. Here's the thing is, within our community, right, there's a lot of different opinions and factions, but we all agree we want to free Iran. But then the question becomes, how do we get there? And then some of the people that want to free Iran, the way to get there, if you say, look, I disagree with you, it's not like, okay, great, let's go have our kebab and hang out. It's like, if you go, I disagree with you, oh, then you must support the regime. Then and I go, wait a minute, you just said you want a democratic Iran, but you don't seem to want any democratic opposition to your thoughts. So who's the dictator now? So they tend to be pretty aggressive.
And Maz, there are also Iranians who I know who also support the government because they see it as under fire from Israel and the United States. They point to years of American sanctions and interference and go back to 1953 and Mossadegh. So there are a lot of views about what's going on. Just one last question on this. Do you worry about what happens next? Do you think Israel's going to bomb again? Like how you mentioned that they dropped the bombs that Thursday when there were supposed to be negotiations in Muscat on Sunday. And they basically blew up the negotiation because Netanyahu doesn't want a deal between Donald Trump and Iran. Donald Trump tore up the last deal. The guy who wrote The Art of the Deal tore up the deal that had kept the Iranian nuclear program under control. We're now in this place because he tore up that deal. Do you think the Israelis, do you think Netanyahu's going to be satisfied till he's had that regime change war?
That's the $1 million question. I was hoping that Trump's desire to not get America into wars, which is what he's always said, and his like desire to be the guy who brought the peace. Like I was hoping that would, and also, by the way, let's be honest. If the mullah said, you know what, here's the deal. We'll figure out the same deal that we had with Obama, and you get to put a Trump Tower in Tehran.
Yes.
You'd be like, let's go.
I
Let's
literally
go.
said this, Maz, you and I, great minds. I said this to a friend the other day. I said, if the guy who used to run Al-Qaeda in Syria is now the president of Syria, Ahmed al-Shara, can say, we're going to have a Trump Tower in Damascus, then Ayatollah Khamenei just needs to pitch a Trump Tower in Tehran and Trump will just leave him alone. Netanyahu will be left on his own to fight Iran.
That's the Trump card. No pun intended. That's the Trump card right there.
But in the meantime, sadly, at home, as you mentioned, you joked about being on a deportation tour with a Mexican-American comedian. At home now, Iranians are being targeted. We're seeing more and more Iranians being picked up. DHS claiming they're all sleeper cells, terrorists, all that bullshit language of post 9/11 is coming back to us. How worried is the Iranian community that you're part of in LA about ICE and CBP and all that traveling in and out of America?
Well, it's interesting because we talked earlier about these immigrants who are the ones who don't want other immigrants to come. And those types are still, I think, in a delusional state. They're like, no, it would not happen to me. It's happening to Manije, but not to me. I saw a clip. This is real. I saw a clip of a guy. They said the Iranian family who voted for Trump. And then they came and they got the wife because I guess she had written a bad check or something years ago. And they arrested the wife, and then they were interviewing the husband, and they go, "Well, how do you feel about Trump now?" He's like, "I still like him," and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh shit, he wants to get her deported." He's like, "I have more evidence if you want. I hate my wife."
There are a lot of cases like this where I've seen where the spouse voted for Trump, the undocumented wife or husband was taken, and the spouse is still like, "Well, I still think he's good," and you're like, "What? That is weird." Let us end on a moment of positivity. In 2017, which is the last time I think you and I sat down together. In 2017, you gave the commencement address at UC Berkeley, which is your alma mater. And I want to play a clip for that because I think it's very relevant now, 8 years later.
In a time when anti-immigrant sentiment is on the rise and we have a president who fans the flames of fear against immigrants and refugees, leave it to the students at UC Berkeley to send a message of inclusivity to the world by choosing an immigrant to give the commencement speech here today at Cal. I was born in Iran. At the age of 6, my family was forced to flee the Iranian Revolution, and we came to America. Today, I stand in front of you giving the commencement speech at one of the top universities in America, if not the world. I am the American dream.
Maz, 8 years later, Trump is president again. Anti-immigrant sentiment is off the chart on the right. He's doing what he could have only dreamed of doing in term one. Is the Maz Jobrani of 2017, is he still around? Are you still hopeful? Or how worried are you about the future of this country?
Mehdi, I would say I'm less hopeful than I was then, but I also see the hope when I see people show up and, stand up to ICE, or when I see people like yourself and others bringing this to people's attention. There seems like there's people waking up. The pessimistic side of it is that they seem to be consolidating power more and more into this dictatorial regime. And I don't know where all this will lead. In all honesty, selfishly speaking, who knows what Stephen Miller's going to throw down next? And it may be, like you said, they might be, okay, let's just denaturalize all these people that are criticizing our policies, which is just what I never thought this world would be America. I mean, when I posted a clip of the PhD student at Tufts being taken off the streets, and that was early on in all this, I posted on my stories on Instagram. I have followers in Iran on Instagram who messaged me and they go, "Wait a minute, I thought this was Iran." Yeah. I go, no, this is America. Yeah, and in Iran, when they go after people on the streets, they'll say, "You did something un-Islamic." They say, you insulted God. That's their thing, which is, how broad is that? What did I say or do? And now they're saying, "Oh, you did something that affects our national interest." Marco Rubio says, "Oh, this is our national." Yep. Okay, so you get to choose what's in the national interest, and you get to just shit all over democracy. So I'm not as optimistic as I was, but I do hold hope still, because there's people out there trying to shine a light on this darkness.
Well said. Maz, we will have to leave it there. Where can people find you?
I am touring all the time. I'm going to be in Australia and New Zealand in July and August. And
overstay,
exactly. And then I'll just be in San Francisco. I'm going to be in DC in the fall. I'm going to be in Boston, New York. So people go to mazjobrani.com to get my touring schedule, or just follow me on social at Maz Jobrani, and I always post stuff.
I'm going to come see you in DC. Send me the dates. We will have to leave it there. Make sure, those of you at home, and were watching, make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to head to Zateo.com, become a subscriber to Zateo. Get We're Not Kidding episodes as soon as they drop without the paywall. But for now, I'm Mehdi Hassan.
And I'm Maz Jobrani.
And we were not kidding.
No jokes, man.
We're Not Kidding is a Zateo production. I'm your host, Mehdi Hassan, and today's co-host was Maz Jobrani. Our executive producer is Kieran Alvey. Our senior producer and editor is Frank Capello. Our music was composed by Andy Clausen. Our design is by Alicia Tatone. Our mix engineer is Valentina Rivera. And the title card animation is by Ehsan Mezgali. Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to Zateo.com. Your support matters.